How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. Today we're talking about the infield, the second base position. Oswald Peraza looking pretty damn good yesterday. Obviously, Anthony Volpe has taken over the shortstop spot full time. He's, our primary leadoff guy now, and he's looking like he's making some stellar progress. We like to see that. And Oswald Peraza getting called up after Giancarlo Stanton's injury. And lucky for Peraza, Josh Donaldson is not returning anytime soon. He's getting another MRI on his hamstring. He looks like he's really just going to be sitting out for the next couple of weeks probably. That hamstring tightened up on him again and during his rehab assignment with Somerset. So he's been returned from the rehab assignment. He'll have to start another one once he feels better. But in the meantime, Peraza remains on call for the Yankees. And DJ LeMahieu's been kind of manning that third base hot corner position very nicely. DJ is probably the best option at third base. We can all agree with that. But Peraza now enters an interesting variable. He becomes an interesting variable in the fold in that you need a DH spot. The Yankees go out and sign Cole Calhoun to a minor league deal. Maybe he fills in every now and then, but Gleyber Torres has been our primary DH. Peraza has been featuring at second base. They'll probably rotate. Peraza will sit some days when they want Gleyber Torres in the infield. Maybe LeMahieu will DH, but maybe who plays third base then? IKF plays third base. Is Peraza ever going to get an opportunity to play on the hot corner? He's never played there before, but we've seen guys like Oswaldo Cabrera kind of move around seamlessly. It's kind of interesting that they refuse to allow Peraza to transition there. So it leads us to believe that he will be a second baseman for the Yankees if he's going to play any position, which is certainly an interesting conversation to have, Ryan. Before we dive into it, how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I think that yesterday we got to see, we get to see that Oswald Peraza's plate discipline, his ability to work walks, his ability to get on base is definitely there. Small sample size, of course, only 67 plate appearances, but he does have a career 418 OBP in Major League Baseball and a 147 WRC plus, right? He deserves to keep playing. It's kind of that simple. When you play the way he's played, when you play at a high level, I think you deserve to get reps. I think you deserve to play. And considering the guys they have been putting in the lineup, I think Peraza definitely deserves, or definitely isn't, he's not playing. It's not that he's not playing because the guys ahead of him are better. I think they're just being negligent. I think they're just not using Peraza properly or not evaluating his talent level properly. There are days Volpe isn't going to play. There are days Gleyber isn't going to be at second base. Those are days where you obviously are going to put him at second or short, but DHing Torres and putting him at second base most of the time and going with that and letting Peraza play a lot is only going to help you. It's not going to help you to give, those reps to Willie Calhoun. It's not going to help you to give those reps to Aaron Hicks. It's not going to help you to give those reps to, even in Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. You're not going to get the upside offensively you're getting out of Peraza. And if Peraza's able to be, a 100 to 105 WRC plus bat with the defense that we saw yesterday, he arguably saved that game with some of his defensive plays. Whether it's stopping that ball from getting to the outfield and allowing for Wandy Peralta to get out of that inning without giving up one of those runs. A couple of big plays where, it looks like that ball's going to go for a hit and he's able to cut that ball down, stop it, and make the play. He's an excellent defender. He's unbelievable out there. Let him play. Let us benefit from that infield excellence defensively. And let us benefit from having a better bat than some of the other guys we've seen consistently get reps. I know Harrison Bader coming back is going to cause the Yankees to have a roster casualty, but it shouldn't be Oswald Peraza. It shouldn't. He's too good of a player to keep getting sent down. Let him play. Let him keep playing. Let him do his thing. If tonight the lineup comes out and he's not playing, I'm going to be beyond upset. Like, he clearly deserves to play. He's earned his spot. He's put up the performances so far. I don't really see why the Yankees don't just commit to playing him full time.
Well, that's the question, right? Like, why aren't they putting Peraza in full-time? Yesterday, he looked excellent. He made 2 stellar grabs at second base and, showcasing that range and athleticism and the arm talent. He's going to be a tremendous player at second base defensively if they want to utilize him there long-term. But you can't talk about second base without talking about Gleyber Torres. You can't talk about second base without talking about the long-term solution that could be either or. Peraza could be a long-term solution at second base, and then Torres could be a long-term solution at second base. So the question is, what is the upside for both players, right? We've probably seen the best of Torres at this point in time. He's doing quite well to start the year. He's going through a little bit of a cold streak right now, but he's still getting on base at about a 40% clip. He's hitting 250 as a homer. I think he may have 2 homers actually, and a couple RBIs. Defensively, he's been more than fine. He's a good second baseman defensively, and the MLB believes that as well. So you're looking at a player who could be a long-term solution there. But again, you're going to have to pay Torres next year, right? He's a free agent in 2025. You have arbitration for 1 more year. He's going to make 10 to 13 to $15 million. He's making $10 million this year. So theoretically speaking, if the Yankees want to cut costs, which, after the big Aaron Judge extension, they're going to get some money back from Donaldson. They don't necessarily need to cut costs. Like $10, $15 million for one of the best second basemen in the game is certainly not a bad deal, especially, for the 2024 season. But you could look at it alternatively and say, what is Oswald Peraza's upside? Defensively, I think his upside is a Gold Glove winning second baseman, which is better than Torres. I think objectively speaking, he's a better defender. Offensively, I can't really put my finger on the pulse there. I can't really say what his offensive makeup is going to be. He's got some decent power. He can hit for contact. He can walk. He's got a really solid eye. But it's inconsistent, right? It's inconclusive at this point in time as well. So, Ryan, when you're looking at the comparison there, what is Peraza's upside as an offensive piece? Do you think it's better or equal to what Gleyber Torres' peak value is?
I think that Peraza is able to exceed Torres in value if he's able to hit close to his ceiling. But I do believe Gleyber is a really good player as well. This comes down to how good of a defender Peraza is at second base and how good of a base runner he is, right? Because offensively, if he can give you about a 110 to 115 WRC plus, if his defense and base running are as good as they've been in the years past, Peraza is probably going to be able to go out and give you a 4 to a 4.5 WAR, maybe even a 5 WAR. That's just how good he is defensively and base running wise. And that's obviously higher than what Gleyber's given you over the last few years. But again, it comes down to what's Gleyber's ceiling offensively, which I think is higher than Peraza's. But the defensive ceiling and the base running ceiling for Peraza, I think, is higher than Torres. So I think in terms of player value, their ceilings are pretty similar. But I will say that I think Gleyber is the better hitter between the two. And I think they should coexist together instead of one replacing the other, at least for now. Maybe in the future, that can be a different conversation. But for now, they should coexist together.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point, right? Is like coexisting is certainly a possible thing. And right now with the injuries in the infield to Stanton and rather in the outfield for Stanton and then to Josh Donaldson, you need these guys. Like you need Gleyber and Peraza right now to be contributing on an everyday basis, especially because you're going to need to mitigate DJ LeMahieu's workload at some point this season. You can't keep running him like this and expect him to stay healthy because he's already had a little bit of a groin injury, or there was a quad injury, and then he also had the toe injury last year, which is constantly instilling fear in me that it's going to reoccur. But, when you're looking at the long-term future here at the deadline, if the Yankees have a big need, if they need a guy in left field who's going to offer you above average offensive quality right now, we love Oswaldo Cabrera, don't get me wrong, but he's not looking so good offensively. He does not look comfortable. He's swinging at bad pitches. He's watching strikes go by. There's a lot of time left to be had. There's a lot of opportunity for Oswaldo Cabrera to expand upon and to capitalize on. But right now, he's not performing well offensively. And if that continues, you may have to consider bringing in an above average offensive left fielder to help during the playoffs, right? And then you just use Oswaldo as your primary super utility option, which was always our preference to begin with. He was always going to be that guy that could fill center, fill right, fill left, fill multiple infield spots at an above average defensive value, which is certainly a huge benefit to this team. So I think that if you're going to look at the future at second base, you may have to consider the fact that Peraza or Torres, one of those two, will likely be traded. I think that is, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but there's a high probability that one of those guys get traded. And Ryan, I'll ask you this to kind of round out this segment. If they're going to trade one of these guys, where do you think that value is going to go? Do you think they're going to utilize that value for an outfielder or for pitching?
I think it's outfield. I think they're confident their pitching can come back for the postseason healthy. I'm confident the pitching can come back for the postseason healthy. I'm not confident they're going to have the outfield play they're looking for, if they don't go out and look for an option externally. I could be wrong about that. I could be incorrect, but that's how I feel. I think that this team needs the outfield depth a little bit more than they need a starting pitcher right now, especially in a postseason series where you shorten it down to 4 starters anyways. Ideally you go Cole, Rodon, Cortez and Severino, and that's your four. Your four is already in-house. I already believe in that four. If there's another injury or setback that would complicate whether these guys can return back or not, that's a different conversation. But I think I know that when my team is healthy, I have my four starting pitchers for the postseason. I don't know I have my left fielder for the postseason right now, and that's why I think there's a key difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below on this current second base situation. The infield, I think the perfect infield would be DJ at third base, Peraza at second, and then Volpe at short, and of course Anthony Rizzo at first base. But again, Torres is a great player. He's playing really well this year, so you kind of have to interchange him and Peraza at second base. But as a long-term situation, if you're going to keep costs down, the upside for Peraza is certainly there. It feels like it's trending in that direction, but again, things could change. They could just say, oh, you know what? Let's start transitioning him to the hot corner and see how he performs, and maybe he can be a long-term solution, especially because next year's free agency class is thin. You have Matt Chapman, and not many Yankee fans want Matt Chapman, apparently. So I feel as though the Yankees definitely need to be preparing. That could be Trey Sweeney for what it's worth. He's looked really good in the minors, and he's a really solid lefty hitter. Got a little bit of power to his game, and solid defensive player to boot. So I think that there are options, but Peraza feels like the natural one, especially because he's more than capable of transitioning there. He's got the range, got the athleticism, he's got the glove. I feel like he'd be a fine third baseman. I just don't really know what Cashman is thinking. I don't think a lot of people do. So we'll see how things unfold. And of course, we'll keep you guys up to date as always on the Fireside Yankees channel. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. Drop a 5-star review if you are so kind on the Spotify and Apple. Enjoy the game later, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.